Hello and welcome to This is Nigeria, unlocking her potentials. And today we're unlocking the potentials of the cattle business in Nigeria. In other parts of the world, cattle business is a huge part of their gross domestic product. So how do we structure the cattle business in Nigeria to make it worthwhile for private investors to look into it and achieve a high return on investment? My name is Mayowa Luabi. Stay with us.
In April 2021, the Lagos State government revealed that residents of the state consume about 1.8 million heads of cattle annually, indicating that Nigerians slaughter over 10,000 cows daily. A huge figure comparatively, but what percentage of this is from the local livestock market? This episode of This is Nigeria will explore the business of cattle farming. Domestication of cattle began over 5,000 years ago, and the total number of cattle in the world is now over 1 billion. India tops the global chart with 305,500,000 or 30.5%, followed by Brazil with 252,700,000 or 25%. China has 95,620,000 and the USA cattle population stands at 92,620,000. Ethiopia leads Africa with 60,390,000, followed by Tanzania with 33,900,000. Uruguay had the most cattle per capita in the world in 2021, followed by New Zealand and Argentina. According to statistics, there are about 21 million cattle in Nigeria, while Nigerians consume over 360,000 tons of beef annually. More than 32 million cattle are slaughtered in the United States annually for a beef production of nearly 13 million metric tons. But reports say drought due to climate change is causing farmers to close shop. This may be good news, though, for sub-Saharan African livestock markets, since the world may soon turn to the tropics for cattle with ample grassland and fresh water. This is an opportunity for Nigeria to become a global player in the supply of cattle and their byproducts. In a country where over 200,000 graduates enter into the labor market annually, this could be a veritable source of employment for several thousands of young people. Over the ages, a variety of cattle types and breeds have been created by man for the major functional traits important in beef production, including body size, milking potential, age at puberty, warm climate adaptability, fleshing ability, muscle expression, curability, and marbling. However, according to the Texas Agricultural Extension Service, breeds are only part of a genetic strategy and should include 1. Matching applicable performance or functional levels to environmental management and marketing conditions. 2. Choosing a breeding system, either continuous, in which replacement females are produced within the herd, or terminal, in which replacements are introduced externally. And 3. Selecting genetic types, breeds, and individuals within the breeds that are compatible with the performance level needed and breeding system chosen. There are two main types of cattle breeds, or two subspecies of one species: Bosedincus or Bos taurus indicus cattle and Bos taurus or Bos taurus taurus. Bosedincus, commonly called zebu, are adaptable to hot climates and originated in the tropical parts of the world such as India, Sub-Saharan Africa, China, and Southeast Asia. Bos taurus, typically referred to as taurine cattle, are generally adapted to cooler climates and include almost all cattle breeds originating from Europe and Northern Asia. The top 10 cattle variety in the world are 1. Chianina, 2. South Devon, 3. Maine Anjou, 4. Glen cattle, 5. German Angus, 6. Montbéliard, 7. Parthenaise, 8. Limousin, 9. Bazadais, and 10. Charolais. Based on ecotypes, it is logical to say there are two main types of African cattle. The Taurine cattle, or Bos taurus, is the humpless indigenous African breed found in West Africa. The humped cattle, or Zebu cattle, makes the majority of Africa's stock. African cattle can also be grouped based on their location and adaptation, such as the Damietta and Maruti of Egypt or the Libyan cattle, the brown Atlas cattle of Morocco and Algeria. Indigenous to Nigeria are the Adamawa Zebu, Sokoto Zebu, the Nigerian Fulani Zebu. The Boran, Muturu, and Ndama are breeds widely distributed across southern Nigeria and are identified along their phenotypes and performance as well as character. Today, cattle farming in the US is a $76.4 billion industry annually and accounts for 19% of their total agriculture sales. Nigeria's livestock sector has economic potentials worth 33 trillion naira. Our concern on This Is Nigeria is how any interested Nigerian can be a player in converting this potential to tangible kinetic economic value, especially with these new initiatives like the National Livestock Transformation Plan or the proposed Ruga program. Today, King Ranch is about the largest ranch in the world. It sprawls across 825,000 acres of South Texas land with 35,000 cattle. Nigeria can boast of big owners too, comparatively. However, Ngurdam Farms on the Abuja-Kefi Highway has about 100 cattle for now, but the future is obviously promising, such that sustaining the factory for the capacity of over 10,000 barrels of fresh milk daily will certainly not be a task too difficult. The opportunities for Nigerians to also become huge market makers in the global cattle farming business is enormous, given that all the requirements for success in the sector are bountiful in the country. Nigeria hardly experiences drought or drastic natural disasters. There is good groundwater, good surface water, good rainfall.
No nation depends on one source of revenue if it wants to create a sustainable economic development and a future for its citizens. Countries have all grown and sustained their respective economies through non-oil exports, and Nigeria Export Promotion Council (NEPC) is strategically positioned to do more on 22 priority export products under the Zero Oil Plan, the One State, One Product Initiative, and the Nigeria Diaspora Export Program, which are needed pillars of success in our economic recovery and growth plan. Invest in non-oil export business such as sorghum, cassava, yam, shea nut, ginger, and reap bountifully. Export business guarantees a prosperous future through inclusive wealth and job creation. Join hands to make Nigeria one of the top 20 largest economies in the world. Export business, tomorrow's business. For further inquiries, visit nepc.gov.ng.
To discuss with me is the former governor of Kwara State, Alhaji Abdul Fattah Ahmed. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. A pleasure.
And then Nigeria's population is rising, and we're huge consumers of meat, milk, and the whole dairy products. How do we maximize this sector of our economy?
Yes, you see, Nigeria's population is growing like other parts of the world, and simply tells you that the demand for food to support this growing population is necessary. And as it were, you would see that there's a whole lot of shortfall in the supply of animal protein and also chicken protein, and thus fish protein, and of course eggs. And where there's a demand and supply, you see that there's a huge potential for not only creating jobs, but also making food available. So I think that it's possible for us to take advantage of these gaps and translate them into opportunities for not only creating food, but also creating employment for our teeming youths.
Okay.
Yes.
So how do we go about harnessing this? Because over time, what we've had is a particular section of the country supplying us this meat and dairy products. And over time, there's been boundary setting, there's been a delineation, there's been a population explosion. How do we harness this properly or structure cattle rearing in Nigeria?
You see, in clear terms, if you see how things are done in environments where they have succeeded, there's no rocket science to it other than planning. We're required to plan. And in planning, we don't necessarily have to reinvent the wheel. We simply benchmark against success stories. In Nigeria today, cattle rearing started a long time. For as old as we have always known our people to live in this part of the world.
True.
And truly, again, we know that cattle rearing is as old as man, ever since man moved away from hunter-gathering to settling down for agriculture and other forms of sustenance. So between you and me, the potentials attached to cattle rearing are huge.
Yeah.
I recall that in the early 60s, the then government created grazing reserves that tended to create opportunity for cattle growing and rearing. And of course, subsequent changes in government has brought a lot of changes to the way and manner land is managed. As it were, the real challenge in managing cattle, aside from the usual issue of breed and other things, is availability of land and water. Incidentally, land management is being saddled with the state governors under the Land Use Act of 1978, which also saddles them with the responsibility of creating the opportunities to grow animal husbandry business. And we're required to look at these things very critically, because as it were today, it's becoming a punchline. It's creating a high sense of insecurity in Nigeria. We're seeing situations where it's almost tending to shake the fabric that's holding us together.
Okay.
And the reason why it's becoming a punchline is because we have not worked on the opportunities that are available in this side of the business.
Okay.
We're required to see what has been done in the past. What can we do now in the face of current exigencies? Cattle rearing is a very good business because there's a demand for beef. There's a demand for milk. As it is today, Nigeria imports over $2 billion worth of powdered milk.
Wow.
And it tells you that there's a huge potential for milk consumption, but that is powdered milk. And you and I know that we could stimulate our local dairy production system with the right inputs to begin to support and augment our importation with fresh milk. I recall that when I was the chairman of Shonga Farms as the then Commissioner for Finance under the administration of Dr. Bukola Saraki, we brought some farmers from Zimbabwe who came to set up, as part of their businesses, a dairy farm, or I would say dairy farms. And I saw how it is easy and, workable to create animal husbandry development scheme and truly stimulate the local economy. And that is where the federal government comes in. Because if currently the federal government supports importation of powdered milk, and you want fresh milk to take a strong stance in Nigeria, it has to be policy driven and has to be done in ways and manner that it will encourage potential dairy factories or businesses to source their raw material from the local environments. That automatically stimulates the production of fresh milk. If the average herder knows that he can make money from not only beef, he can make money from the skin, he can make money from milk,
Yes.
you begin to see a lot more organization, a lot more inputs going into driving the animal husbandry business. There is the need to create a strong strategic synergy between states and federal government. The federal government has the capacity to stimulate policies, and state governments have the capacity to be creative with land management, especially in provision of space and water to make it available for animal husbandry business to thrive.
2014, that was when I first heard cattle wrestling. They were talking about cattle wrestling. Fortunately, they put me in the agri committee. I was able to convince them to put it in the adaptation of the resolution, cattle ranch. In Silicon Valley, they export $13 billion in cattle rearing, cattle products. And a pint of cattle milk is more expensive than a pint of crude oil. In India, they call it sacred cow because it's sacred, giving them money. And Nigeria are fighting. God said, go and meet the leader of that Meiti. I went. But the first thing I noticed was a school. They said the president of the Meiti Allah was the one that built the school. I said, ah. Then when I got there, I said, please take my picture so that there will be documentation. No, I have to tell you the truth. The president was looking at me from their camera. After I finished taking picture, he said they should bring me. I said, I beg, Baba, I take my 2 legs to come here. Please don't kill me. But God told me to come and tell you, Yakuni to Allah. And the guy looked at me and said, my mother, my mama. I said, you're what? He said, you're my mother. Now hear the side of the story. By the time they told me their story, I busted into tears. I knew. God told me to go and see the real thing. They poor. You know what they call capital P-O-O-R? They are like the reject. They don't even have a home. I see what they call the nomadic. Do anybody care whether they have malaria fever or a snake bite? They told me their side of the story. I busted into tears. Within 4 hours, they told me, they are far, said, that woman is your leader now.
Welcome to Unguruda Farms, the survivor farm.
Those cows give you as much as 30 liters.
Are you serious?
Per day, yes, one cow.
Wow.
So they give you about 30 liters, 27, 25 liters. It depends on the cow and then the feed.
Okay.
So cow business is fantastic.
I can see that.
You see, you can see the breed. When you go to the cows, the main cow, you see the breed. It's expensive to manage them.
Yes.
But gradually, we are trying to migrate from the local way of doing cow business. We are going to 50 to 75%. That's what we are aiming at. I started with 6 cows. So I have over 100 now with 6 cows. So long as you are consistent, you are not selling them, so they will give back.
Pastoral cattle rearing has a lot of disadvantages in terms of the health-wise of the cattle. How healthy is the cattle? How do they examine the cattle? What are the parameters they use in examining cattle as they move along in their pastoral engagement? That you know that it is possible. There's no veterinary doctor that will examine all the cattle to see the one that are sick among the cattle. But in the ranch, in the place, synthetic as you said, in one place, the cattle that is reared within that confines have access to a lot of facilities in terms of a veterinary doctor that will examine the cattle to see that they are in the proper health order. And also access to plenty water, enough water to be able to grow. Cattle needs water, enough water. During the dry season, one cattle needs about up to 200 to 250 liters of water to be able to survive the period, in terms of to be able to also produce enough milk. That the pastoral rearing cannot be able to achieve. See area where the citizen can benefit, where they can create job and expand the economy. They should dwell there and see how they can make that work. And when that is in motion, then you go to other areas. That's how you resolve issues that have to do with the economy, in terms of problems, economic issues, and all of that. You resolve this area, look at it. Let's look at it in the next 5 years. In the sustainability plan, if you are able to sustain it for the next 5 years, then forever you have settled that. It's a system. Then look at this area. Okay, you also set. That's how little by little we'll be setting up the economy. Before you know, they all contribute to the center to make the nation prosper.
These cows, most of them are mixed up. They are mixed up. Some are Sokoto, some are local, some are. So we are mixing them gradually. We want to migrate from the local way of doing business, rearing cattle, to the integrated farming of doing animal production. We are gradually moving, and it's really working. So coming from the milking side, you see, we used to have 2-3 liters in a day. Now we are migrating to 5-6 liters, 10 liters per cow. So gradually we are moving. Yes.
We are talking about industrial level that we can say, okay, Nigeria in the last 1 year we have been able to export leather worth $3-4-5 billion. Have we hit that point? It has still at that individual level of capacity in terms of the level of export that goes out on that area of skin.
Our main interest is milk. We want milk, dairy. So we are not concentrating on meat because others are doing meat. So the local cows are there for meat. So our passion is to do milking. So that's why we are bringing these bulls. They are permanent, 100% for milk. We have a mix of about 6 different breeds.
Synthetic cattle business is wonderful. If private individual can start going into it, the value chain is unprecedented in terms of industrial make, in terms of skin, and there is a leather that's coming out of it, and other auxiliary businesses that are within that system. Is so wonderful if we can really go into it properly, not the way we are doing now. It's a business for everybody.
And we got the favor of the President Buhari. He has approved 600 billion for the ranch. There's money in cattle business. The dung, the shirt is money, electricity. The skin, people like me, I like pachechi. I like nice things. The shoe. Now, the cattle meat is money. Not to talk of the milk. Why can't we tap into it? Nobody's talking about oil again. A pint of milk is more expensive than a pint of crude oil. Google it. I talk fact and figures. So we now broke it down for peace to reign. What is causing the wahala, the problem is the cattle grazing. Yeah. Let the east and the west grow the grass. Pellet it, shred it, or bale it, sell it to them in the north. Let the north have the cattle ranch. And I'm appealing, using this opportunity to appeal to the Minister of Transportation, my brother, Honorable Amici, to buy a wagon train, cargo train. They can even build it and put it on the rail. Let them put the cow in it so that they don't go and eat people's farm. It's not done. It's all right. It's illegal.
Typically, activities happen in life. And when they happen, you see opportunities and you see threats. So you are left with a choice. Do you want to take the opportunity, or you want to be faced with the threat? And I see us recognizing the fact that each time opportunities come and they are taken, you always come out better off. And if you choose to go the threat line, then you begin to see those opportunities as punchlines. And that changes the whole equation. Those who see opportunities create strategies and they move on to become better people. Those who see them as punchlines end up destroying themselves. So as a nation, as a country, as a people, I think we should learn to sharpen our sensitivities to seeing opportunities and translating them into how to make life a better place for Nigerians.
Well, it's a wrap on This is Nigeria, and we've been talking the cattle business in Nigeria. You can see the huge investment opportunities available. You can see what ranching can do for the cattle. You breed better cattle, not stressed cattle that have traveled the length and breadth of Nigeria, but in a place well secured, structured, safe, maintenance of their health by vet doctors. You produce better quality of beef and better citizens of Nigeria and better money in some people's pocket. Thank you very much for watching.